Hello and welcome to Around the Wicket as the Aussies wrap up the Ashes 4-1. I'm Neroli Meadows. Great to have your company, and joining me at the desk, Greg Blewett and Callum Ferguson. Gents, I've got to admit, I really appreciated Pat Cummins, the Aussie captain's post on Instagram, who summed it up with a caption, "Same old Aussies."
Well, they were, weren't they?
Yeah, always winning.
Yep.
You were there to watch it all unfold at the SCG. It got a little bit interesting towards the end there, but in the end, the Aussies wrap it up with a 5-wicket win.
Yeah, they deserved the win. 4-1, I think, was an appropriate scoreline. Couple of test matches that were just too quick, weren't they? Two-dayers. But I think the Australians by far played the better cricket, and I thought the SCG pitch was spot on and it produced some great cricket. So it was good to see a test match go deep into day 5.
Great to see as well both of the teams coming together to have beers after the miscommunication in England a little while ago. But to your very point, it was an entertaining series. Was it a great series of cricket?
Look, I don't think so in general. I felt like it was too one-sided for too much of the series. I think England had a real opportunity in Perth in the first test match to get a foothold in the series. They missed it, and then from there it was all Australia. As
a pure cricket fan, I feel a little bit ripped off, I've got to say, and I'm not even an England supporter. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, if you ask Australia, it went perfectly, the whole series. But, England just didn't show up. Their method, and it just didn't work in Australia. So they've got some work to do going forward. I just think from series to series, they've got to be a little bit more flexible in the way they go about it.
Player of this series, geez, there was some tough competition there. Alex Carey, Travis Head, of course, who wasn't even supposed to be opening and then ends up scoring 300s at the top. But Mitch Starc gets it done, an average under 20. The leading wicket taker, a couple of handy 50s as well. He was superb all summer.
He was, and he's getting I think the recognition he's deserved for a long time. His teammates have been pumping his tyres up for a long time now over the last few years, speaking about his strength and his resilience. And I think he's getting reward for prioritising Australia and taking time away from IPL and giving some white ball cricket a miss to get himself right for series like this. And he stood tall. No Hazelwood and Cummins for the majority of the series. He was the one for Australia that really stood up tall.
And off the back of that, I just wanted to highlight that the blokes that have been toiling away for years, Neser and Boland, get their opportunity to play a really big part in this series. And they were brilliant.
Sensational. Couple of old warriors, weren't they? And, Boland just did what he does. I mean, he fought back after a poor first spell in the first test over in Perth. And then Neser, of course, came in, was brilliant in Brisbane with a 5-for and just kept running in. Great contributions in the field as well. So, a couple of old fellas did a great job for Australia. They were brilliant. They really were.
You know the feeling to wait and bide your time to get that opportunity at test level. And these guys are really good first-class cricketers, but now they've gotten the opportunity to go, hey, we can do it at this level too.
Yeah, and I think when you look at someone like Scott Boland, he did it on some of the flattest wickets in the country, and certainly the Gabba, where Michael Neser's spent a lot of his apprenticeship leading into his test career. The Gabba is as flat as it gets in the last couple of days, generally in Shield cricket. So both of them know how to bowl in all conditions, whether it's offering a little bit or when it gets really attritional. And they've both stood up so tall for Australia when it looked like, and a lot of people in Australia felt like we didn't have a lot of depth in the fast bowling department. You know, who's going to come in after a few injuries? Well, we showed we've got the depth.
He's happy about it too.
Real happy about it.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to be joined by Michael Clarke after this short break.
What we managed to achieve in the first 2.5 years, was very good. And then we wanted to build on that. We wanted to, grow as a team and be even more consistent than we were in that. And if anything, we've done the opposite of that. We've started losing more. We've not won the big series that we want to be winning. And when a trend is happening on a consistent basis in the way that you don't want it to happen, then that's when you do need to go back and go look at the drawing board and make some adjustments that you think is going to get us back on the path of success again.
England captain Ben Stokes there basically admitting that after a positive couple of years under Baz Ball that they've essentially gone backwards. Former Australia captain Michael Clarke joins us now. Pup, interesting times for England. What did you learn about them this summer?
Nez, tough start. Hello to everyone. I learnt that the Aussies are better than them, certainly playing in Australian conditions by a distance. I learnt they probably haven't got a frontline spinner, whether that be on tour or in their England setup. I learnt they got their preparation wrong before the first Test match. And I learnt they're the worst fielding. They're the worst English fielding team I reckon I've ever seen. So apart from that, I didn't learn much. Look, to be honest, I was super disappointed with the series. I thought it was going to be an absolute cracker. I thought it was going to be like 2005. Hopefully, hoping obviously Australia won, but I thought it was going to be that really hard-fought Test match cricket where both teams were super close and there was like one moment that was defining in each Test. But Australia were all class and deserve a lot of credit, but England were poor.
I've got to just point out that you had a smile on your face the entire time that you said all of that. Bluey, I can't help but feel the players themselves in the days, weeks, months, maybe even years to come, look back and go, we didn't do our best there.
100% right. They've all got to look at themselves and look at their series and learn and digest what they did wrong and learn from it, because very one-dimensional, and as I spoke to you at the start of the show, it's just what works in England, what in other countries doesn't necessarily work in Australia, and I just thought they were far too one-dimensional.
What did you think of Stokes' captaincy?
Poor. I really did. The way he handled himself as a bowler, he was basically their best bowler for the series, and I think at times he had to take the new ball. Other stuff, field positioning and that, I mean, you could debate some of that, but especially his bowling selections, I thought he had a poor series.
Well, ECB have come out and made a statement. Richard Gould, the CEO, that basically says, well, we'll take many lessons from this tour and are determined to improve quickly. Our focus is on regaining the Ashes in 2027. A thorough review of the campaign is already underway. This will cover tour planning and preparation, individual performance and behaviours, and our ability to adapt and respond effectively as circumstances require. The other news that came out overnight, though, Pup, was that Harry Brook, who was the white ball captain in New Zealand, got involved in an altercation on the eve of a match, which he then played the next day. The ECB knew about this. They fined him $60,000, but somehow it managed to stay under wraps in the public domain until now. What does that say to you as a former captain of a national team?
I'll say they're very good at keeping a secret inside that change room, because I don't know any other team in the world that will be able to keep that out of the media for a few months. So, look, I'm sure. Well, I think that's ECB's statement, isn't it? They've made it clear they haven't missed individual points around. I think a part of that, certainly that statement certainly references behaviour off the field. Look, wow. I can't imagine what would happen if that had been the Australian captain or the Australian vice captain. I think they would have been hit with a lot more than an expensive fine, that's for sure.
What does it say to you, Ferg?
I got some real concerns seeing that about their mindset leading into this series. Maybe they felt like they were going a little bit better than they actually were, and going out the night before a fixture, captain of the country, it just feels like they maybe just had a really strong sense that they had everything under control. We're flying at the moment. Well, we saw what happened not long after that in the Ashes series, and they weren't flying, and they got shown a real lesson here in Australia. Concerns culturally? I think so. I think you've got to be dotting every I and crossing every T leading into a big series like the Ashes, and that was really their main preparation, that ODI series. That white ball series in New Zealand was their main prep. They weren't coming over to Australia and playing a lot of fixtures leading into the Ashes. That was it. And if you're behaving in that manner leading into your preparation, that's not a good sign for the series. If you were playing for Australia, do you think you would have been stripped of the captaincy, vice-captaincy in the Test team and not be playing the next day? Well, possibly. I mean, I don't know about stripped of the captaincy, but certainly missing games. I mean, that's just not an option if you're an Australian. So, completely disappointing that someone's out at, I think it was 2 a.m. too, the night before you're playing an ODI for your country. So obviously it was addressed in-house, and I'm like, Pup, how did especially with their press, how was it only, did we just find out about it now? Pup,
What 3 things would you immediately change in the England setup going forward?
Well, look, firstly, I think a review is a given. It would happen if Australia lost 4-1 in Ashes series, there'd be a review. So I'm not surprised this is happening. Well, I think they've got to make a decision around captain and coach. Are they going to keep the faith with Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes? So I think that would be one of the most important decisions moving forward. I think they've got to look at technique in regards to their batting. I feel like they haven't cared too much about defence. And I think, defence is just as important as attack when it comes to batting against good bowlers in tough batting conditions. So I think that certainly would be a major focus. The catching was disgraceful. It would just be fielding after fielding after fielding. If that was an Australian team that caught that bad in a series, I think that would definitely be defining. And I said it earlier, I think England, I don't know if it's produced wickets that allow more spin to play a part in counter cricket, but they haven't had a frontline spinner. Look, Monty Panesar played 50 tests. Graeme Swann was a brilliant bowler. Swanee was an unreal spinner. I think since Swanee, they just haven't had a decent frontline spinner. So I reckon that's a real concern for England cricket moving forward. Again, you play a lot of cricket in the subcontinent. They've got to find a good spinner, back the good spinner, and let them play as much Test cricket all around the world as possible.
Blue, are you open to a fielding coach role?
Hey, yes.
Not at the moment with a ruptured Achilles, but never say never, I suppose.
Pup, you spoke about the batting. Travis Head, superb all series in that new role as opener. Could England learn a thing or two from the way he went about it this summer?
Well, again, look, he's probably the closest to what England were trying to do. But I think the difference between what Trav did and what England did was the way he scored his runs. So the actual shot selection. So, again, you look at the first 2 test matches, guys that made runs were scoring off the back foot, waiting for any width. England were trying to score off the front foot, driving on the up. Go to Adelaide, much better batting conditions. Go to Sydney, much better batting conditions. You can drive on the up. You can hit the ball in the air. You can play your shots early in your innings. You can go harder against the new ball. So, look, the defining factor, Trav ball versus Baz ball, I think was grounds that we played on, timing of when to go hard, timing when to pull back, and the way he scored his runs.
And the sunnies. The sunnies always counts. Pup, who do you think long-term should be Australia's Test openers? I'm assuming you think Trav Head keeps that role now.
Yeah, I think Trav stays now, unless he wants to move back down to 5, which it doesn't sound like he does. Oh, wow. Well, I think Jake did reasonably. I think he missed an opportunity in the last test, really. I think if he makes 100 in Sydney, I think he locks down that spot. Now I think there's a big gap. So, look, I think Matt Renshaw's got to come into contention. I think he's done pretty well. I was surprised he didn't get a crack at the start of the series. Sam Constant will be spoken about as well. I think we've got a number of options. I think that's the advantage we have now, and that's why I think Uzi leaving when he has is the right decision. I think there's enough time, and I think we've got enough options in first-class cricket that whether they stick with Jake or not, I think they'll be opening with Trav, that's for sure.
Next Test series against Bangladesh in August. You've got a bit of a different pick up the top.
I'd go with Callaway. I really like what I've seen with him from a technical point of view. And I'd probably look at Ollie Peake for a series like that. I think at some stage we've got to start getting some younger guys into that team, and I think that's a great opportunity to do that.
Just finally, Pup, you mentioned Uzi Khawaja. I don't want to move on completely from this Ashes series without honouring his Test career.
Yeah.
Former teammate of yours. What's his legacy?
I think what he's done for the game, certainly around the world, to be from Pakistan, to represent Australia. I think Uz has done it. What I'm most proud of with Uz, he's done it his way. I think he's dared to be different. He copped a lot of criticism, certainly at the start of his career. And as he spoke about through his childhood, around perception versus reality. He's honoured the person he is, and I think that's what you should be most proud of at the end of your career. As long as you're yourself, and his performances have been brilliant. I think he's start opening the batting for Australia at 35. I think, and to finish with the stats he has, I think he should be very proud. 88 Test matches, longevity. I think he should be super proud.
Cue Frank Sinatra, is that the right? I did it my way. Michael Clarke, thank you very much. We'll chat to you early next week.
Thanks, guys.
Don't go anywhere, because after this short break, we're going to be joined by Graeme Swann. Welcome back to Around the Wicket. Time to bring in Graeme Swann, who I'm feeling a little bad for, it must be said. He's a little under the weather and it's been a tough summer going down 4-1. Swanny, just from a pure cricketing perspective, do you ponder what could have been if Tongue and Bethel were there from the get-go?
Well, I do a little bit. It's more Josh Tongue than anything else. Had he played in Perth, had we had that extra firepower in the second innings, who knows? But overall, I'm going to hand it to you. I'm going to give you a round of applause because you've just outplayed Australia. Have outplayed England, and yes, in your home conditions. And I know I've argued all along that you shouldn't be saying that it's a weakened Australian team, but it wasn't your first choice bowling attack. But you still outbowled England all the way through, and you've just played better cricket. And yeah, this week it's been like a week where I've finally woken up and seen clarity. I was ill. I was in bed with fever, and it suddenly all came clear to me. England need a fielding coach quickly, and then the Ashes is theirs.
Hey, we appreciate a little bit of clarity, even if it comes well after the series.
I reckon there's a few more issues than just the fielding as well.
Yeah, I think you might be right, but I'm more than having to paper over these cracks and just someone who can teach the boys to catch.
I love it. ECB have launched a full investigation. Is it once and for all the preparation was not up to scratch? Is that what you think?
Yeah. Listen, I think on this TV we interviewed Baz McCullum yesterday, and he said that. He said, they didn't get the preparation right. But I think in England there's also this feeling that they've had hard preparations before that haven't worked, and so this is the way that this team did it. I think what they should look at is the years when it did work, which is 2010. And what Andy Flower did then was have 3 first-class matches where we just said it's like a mini Ashes series, and we're going to play 11 aside and come properly hard. I remember playing against Ferg in that.
Yeah.
And Ferg couldn't believe how hard, like Broady came at him. We just bumped the living daylights out of him. And we played it properly aggressively as if it was the Adelaide Test match. And I think that put that team in a very good frame of mind mentally and physically for that Ashes series. And I know it's easy with hindsight to say that because we won it. But I think we put ourselves in the best possible space to do that, to win that Ashes. And I'm not sure, and Baz admitted this, that they didn't do that this time around. They didn't get things quite right. There is a little bit of stuff going around the press that England didn't try to get the whacker and stuff like that, which I know is nonsense because they did try and put the whacker. They were told they weren't allowed it, which, from the ACB's point of view, I don't really agree with. I think a home board should go out of their way to accommodate a touring team. Just as, when Australia come to England, they should be given whatever preparation they want. Because you don't just want to say, well, it's our home and we're just going to treat you like dirt, like in the COVID Ashes, because that was back out of order. But, I can't remember where I was going with
it
this.
felt that way. It was starting to feel a little bit that way. Swanny, do you think that McCullum and Rob Key have the ability within themselves to adjust? Because they've stuck firm for a long time now.
Yeah, I think they have. I think we'll have to wait and see the outcomes of this investigation and everything. I think there are certain areas that need addressing. One of them is just why are we not scoring enough runs? That is the most blatant one. I said it before this Ashes, and I'll keep saying it. In Test cricket, no matter how you choose to bat, no matter how aggressive you want to be or defensive you want to be, the end game, the end product is runs on the board. And only one England player got 2 centuries. That was Ruti. And aside from that, had a pretty disappointing Ashes. And then Jacob Bethel coming through, got a brilliant 150. Batting, dare I say it, in an old school manner, off like 160, 170 balls. There is a Test number 3, who he didn't even know was a Test number 3 2 weeks ago. There's someone to build an order around now. And if they say, look, first innings of any Test, this is how we want to bat, this is our template, we get 450, 500. The Australians won this Sydney Test match. Not because of how one made or that, just because they managed to pile 500 on the board in the first innings. And if you don't do that in Australia, I said it before, I'll say it again, you're not going to win many games.
Ollie Pope, 125 runs across those 3 tests. So Bethel managed to trump that in one brilliant knock at the SCG, as Swanee just alluded to. Bluey, do you see McCullum as the long-term coach for England going forward?
Well, he's got to present to the board or whoever it is and be very convincing about what's going to happen in the next couple of years up until 2027, where the Ashes are next. So, and if he can do that, if he can adjust what has happened with what's going on here in this series, then yes, because, obviously the players love him. But I want some real hard truths about how he's going to go about it going forward.
Jamie Smith's dismissal, Swanee, I don't want to gloss over it. We saw some pretty poor ones this summer. Does that take the cake up against Marnus Labuschagne?
Are you on about his run out in the second innings? Hopefully, this is the worst shot I've ever seen in Test cricket. And I love. I'd say this. I love Jamie Smith. I've not got an issue with him whatsoever, aside from he's not vocal enough when he keeps. And I'd love to keep going on about him about changing his output when he's keeping to get more atmosphere into the team. But that, we've all had brain fades. We've all had moments when things seem right in your head, and immediately when you do them, you go, oh, no, and you want to take it all back immediately. That was definitely one of those. Alistair Cook said afterwards, and when Sir Alistair talks about batting, I know I take the mickey out of him a lot, but I tend to listen because he was unbelievable. And he just said in that situation, like, modern players will say, oh, but the new ball was coming, we wanted to take the initiative, we wanted to try and score heavily. But as he said, you're going to get 10 or 20 runs max for taking an incredible amount of risk. Long term, that gets you nothing. It does not win you a game of cricket, but it can lose you a game of cricket by losing that wicket there. And he was absolutely right. It was just, going back to it at the time, Labuschagne, he annoys every Englishman. He really does, with his constant, awful banter. It's truly awful. He's not like,
we love him, but he also annoys every Australian too.
But that's the thing. He's like that bloke at your club who's there first every day, puts the flags out, he marks the crease. Everyone loves him, but everyone doesn't. You don't invite him for dinner. That bloke. And the fact that he's then given the chance, oh, go on, just go and run and bowl bouncers for 3 overs, like just to shut him up almost. And then he gets a wicket like that. It's like, what have you done, Jamie? What have you done?
I did appreciate from Travis Head a little drive-by on ABC Radio afterwards. He said about his own dismissal, I thought I wonder what it'd be like sitting in their dressing room sometimes and playing a pretty rank shot. I'll have a beer with Jamie Smith later and we can compare whose was worse. So an extra little drive-by by Travis Head. Swanee, I'd like to give you the opportunity as you cough your way through the interview, you poor thing. Snicko, would you like to tee off?
Oh, yeah, Snicko is just... I'll finally say it. I'm glad the whole nation, surely even Australia the other day, when Weatherald... Weatherald's fighting for his Test career. The only reason the umpire gave him not out, surely, was because he's got 100 quid on him batting first in the next Australian Test match. Because it's gone past... It's blatantly hit the bat, or so...
Graeme Swann's comments are not reflective of all of us here at Around the Wicket.
Yeah. But it goes upstairs, and everyone watches it, and everyone goes, "Oh, fair enough, it's out." And then in our ears, because we're on the media, we hear, "Roll that again, roll that again." And on the English TV, we're saying, "He's not going to give. He's going to find a reason not to give this out," and he gave it not out. And as a player on the field, they've all seen that, and how Cast didn't kick the stumps down at that point is beyond me. Because if that were me in that situation, I would have petulantly ripped my cap off the umpire, stormed off the ground, refused to ever play again, had a temper tantrum. My captain would have been embarrassed. I'd have created a diplomatic incident. And how they didn't do it is beyond me. Yes, this England team do a lot of things wrong, but Ben Stokes managed to calm them down at that point. That was blatantly, it was almost corruption. And I'm not saying it was corrupt, but that's what it smacked like to the victims of that dismissal. It was like, this cannot be happening. And even the most pie-eyed Australian, I'm looking at you, Inez, even the most pie-eyed Aussie must have thought, well, he's out here.
Oh, absolutely. I thought they handled it really well, boy.
It was just
crazy.
the cherry on top for a pretty ordinary tour, wasn't it? Yeah.
Graeme Petulant Swann, thank you very much.
Just before I go, Nez, I'd just like to say I'm not accusing the umpire of being corrupt.
Right.
It was meant in jest. But Snicko, please never show your face anywhere in the world again. You're banned.
We love
To
you,
the
mate.
other side.
Get better. Don't go anywhere. We've got to take on the short stuff next. Time to take on the short stuff. Ashton Turner, the Scorchers captain, takes this catch, or does he? By the letter of the law, this is not out, and that's what it was given, but should it be out, Callum Ferguson?
Yes, it should be out, and I think the laws of the game need to be adjusted.
Well, he caught it, didn't he? He caught it. He had it under control in his hands. So, out.
England's new fielding coach has his final
Love
say.
it, yeah.
How exciting is Ollie Peake? You were there watching it live, former
Super
Renegade.
exciting. And he just keeps standing up, a little bit like Cooper Connolly has in his early stages of his career, but standing up in big moments for his team. Just incredible to watch and really exciting.
Fascinating that he's gone off for the under-19s World Cup right now instead of playing out the Big Bash. Professional cricket, junior national side. What do you think?
Professional cricket every day of the week for me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I can't believe he's leaving the Big Bash for a 19s World Cup.
Oh, core memory though. Should bad light stop play in a test match in this day and age?
Yes, it should. But they should play a lot longer. But at some stage, it does get too dark for a red ball.
Did Cricket Australia get it wrong with Stuart Clark's comments banning players from talking to the ABC after the day's
Yeah, I
play?
absolutely do think so. And I think banning an entire audience is punishing the ABC listeners rather than necessarily just the broadcaster itself. I think the audience is the one we've got to be thinking about.
Brendan McCullum, should he get a fine within the ECB for, well, it looks like cheating on a crossword?
Oh, no.
Well, he said he was just checking his answers, the ones he already had written down. So
Come on, Baz.
He needs to find some answers. Thank you very much for joining us. Well done, Australia.